Cathie Wood is famous for her $1.5 million Bitcoin bull case for 2030, but she just raised it to $2.5 million. Yes, in 4 years' time, $2.5 million Bitcoin. But why has she changed her price predictions now? What new information has she uncovered that's made her even more bullish than ever before? Let's dive straight into this new report and uncover this. Of course, guys, I'm not alone. I'm here with Kent from SAS Mining, and we have Nico. Let's just hope his internet's working. We have no idea what's going on. Anyways, let's dive straight into this Ark Invest. So we've covered this report in the past. I think we've all probably heard this, and now there is some new variables going on. And honestly, guys, again, Opti vindicated on the show because I've been saying something very similar for a long time, but now it's coming out of the institution, so you love to see it. So here we go. Ark's price target for Bitcoin in 2030. 2030 price predictions are so hot right now. Anyways, price targets in this article rely on assumptions made regarding the total addressable markets, TAMs, and penetration rates discussed below. Bitcoin may fail to reach these price targets if any of the total addressable markets or penetration rates are not met. Risk and limitations exist that may prevent our forecast from being realized. Of course, they're referencing the first report here in Ark's Big Ideas 2025 report. We updated our Bitcoin price targets for 2030, projecting a bear, base, and bull case of $300K, $710K, and $1.5 million per Bitcoin, respectively, as shown below. So you can see the first predictions here. Of course, we've covered this in the past. You can see the bear case was 300K again, and the reasons here. I'm kind of colorblind, so I'm probably not the one to really, explain this, but a small amount of emerging market safe haven, a digital gold meme, and then institutional investment. And then further, what are these colors, Nico?
I got you. All right, guys. I'm back. I'm back from El Salvador. Apparently, the first day I'm back, the internet decides to play games with us. I don't know what's going on. I have to get a cable fix or something. But yes, the colors on the screen. There's the purple. The purple stands for institutional investment.
Purple. Wow. Okay, keep going.
The yellow is digital gold on top of the purple. The red is emerging. Sorry about that. Emerging safe haven. And then the green on top is national state treasury. So Cathie Wood's original argument that her base case for 2030 was $710,000 Bitcoin. But according to Opti, apparently that base case has gone up. It's no longer 710K.
Okay, now moving on. You can see again more charts on price target assumptions. We've covered all this before. So this is just saying the old article unpacks the modeling methodology and assumptions supporting those price targets. Now there's some maths here. We're not going to go over the maths, but you can read this yourself. Price targets and assumptions, and then going down, or actually maybe we'll read this part. The anticipated contributors to capital accrual, primary institutional investment, primarily through spot ETFs, referred to by some as digital gold. Bitcoin is nimbler, more transparent, store of value relative to gold. Emerging market investors seeking a safe haven that can protect them against inflation and devaluation. And I think this is the newest take we are seeing recently. People are starting to look at Bitcoin as a safe haven. We've all seen the gold price start to rip. We've all heard about the uncertainty in TradFi's, the bond markets, the usual, risk-free and store of value is the bond market. Now everyone's getting concerned. They're kind of dropping the bonds, going into gold. And here we go. The anticipated contributors to capital accrual, secondary, nation state treasuries as other countries follow the U.S. with Bitcoin strategic reserve, corporate treasuries as more companies diversify fiat cash with Bitcoin, and then lastly, Bitcoin on-chain financial services as Bitcoin substitutes for legacy finance, which is something as Bitcoiners have been saying for a long time. Again, some more charts, and then they kind of just break down the different things they just talked about. The institutional investments, the digital gold meme, the emerging market for safe haven, nation state treasuries, corporate treasuries, and of course, Bitcoin on-chain financial services. Now, going down, they start to talk about the Bitcoin supply. And this is the part where I think a lot of us Bitcoiners, we just do the simple math where we break everything down by 21 million. But as this article breaks down, the thing that a lot of us do when we make our price predictions is we don't account for lost Bitcoin, Bitcoin that's gonna, permanently be out of the supply. And this is where they started to update their new models, and it makes it even more bullish. So going down, of course, I think we've all kind of have this idea that there's probably somewhere around 3 to 5 million Bitcoin that are lost. So you can move down. When you do all of your math comparing to global capital markets, it's probably not 21 million that we should be dividing everything with. It could be, I've heard some people say around 15. Usually people use 18 million to do the math, and this is where they start to get these ridiculously bullish price predictions. And it's Monday, so we're going to start strong on the week with some really bullish price predictions here, just because we know you love it.
It's not us, it's Kathy
Well,
Wood.
I know, but we're highlighting it. So here is the updated 2030 Bitcoin price targets. You can see 2030 price target for active supply with the base or bear case assumption has now moved to $50,000 per coin with a CAGR of 32%, which is interesting because I forget, Nico, what was Sailor's? I think he's been using 20% CAGR. We know historically it's 40% CAGR. So moving on, base case is now 1.2 million with a 53% CAGR. And of course, the bull case, which is what we all want to see here, is $2.4 million per Bitcoin with a CAGR of 72%, which is that's crazy. I know we've been trying to do conservative price predictions here, but 72% CAGR, compounding annual growth rate of 72% every year, even through maybe a bear market, that would be incredible. Absolutely incredible. Anyways, here's the crux of it. Importantly, the estimates constructed with the more experimental methodology are more aggressive than those in our bear, base, and bull cases. With a more conservative bias, our official price targets focus only on total Bitcoin supply. That said, we also believe that this more experimental exercise highlights that Bitcoin scarcity and lost supply are not reflected in most valuations models today, which I think goes into what all Bitcoiners constantly say. All your models are broken. I think the big takeaway here is we really don't know where the price is going. All we do know is digital scarcity hasn't fully been grokked in the mainstream collective consciousness. And when you really account for how much Bitcoin, of course, we don't know how much Bitcoin is actually lost. It could be more, it could be less. It could be that some OGs here still have those keys and just, they've been hodling for 15 plus years and one day it'll move. I know a lot of people say that maybe Satoshi's coins will eventually move as well. But I do love this new kind of updated model because I've been saying this for a while, but I've been kind of doing it as just like a throwaway comment here on the show. It's like, look, we all do our price predictions with 21 million and we don't really account for how much Bitcoin is lost because we really don't know. And if you do those calculations, you start to see the Bitcoin price predictions are getting crazy. So I don't know. I would love to see a 72% CAGR. I know historically we have seen that on bull years, but when you kind of average it out, I believe it's historically 40% CAGR. So even if we just do a 40% CAGR, that is, 700, 1 point something mil. So, hey, the numbers, when you get down to the math, it's not that crazy. I know people start to say, hey, these Bitcoiners really don't understand how big numbers work. And I'm like, I don't think you understand what this digital scarcity truly means. So we'll see who's correct. Come back to us in 5 years and we'll see if we were extremely bullish on this Monday or we were conservative. Anyways, Nico, are you here? How is your internet? What is going on?
Yeah, I don't know, man. Just I am here. I am back. I'm back home, but apparently the internet is not cooperating today. I've unplugged every box known to man. I don't know what's going on, but hopefully I'll have it fixed by tomorrow. But anyhow, let's just get back to over 100K first. That's my response to this. We have this, Sailors dropping $13 million per coin, Kathy Woods upping her price target to 2.5. We can't even sustain 100K. So let's just get to 100K. I'll be happy there. And then, we'll kind of reassess, but it is a bullish sign that she's obviously moving her price target. And I mean, what we've been saying for most of this year is essentially that this has been the most bullish year in terms of news. Like we've never had this much news in Simply Bitcoin's history, like back to back to back to back. And then all of a sudden, the price action is not cooperating with the news, right? You have talk of a strategic Bitcoin reserve. You have Jack Mallers announcing the Bitcoin holding company with Tether. Earlier on today, you had some news about huge banks from countries and essentially buying into Bitcoin holding companies. I mean, if you actually pay attention to the stuff that's going on around you, Bitcoin should be much, much higher right now. Is Bitcoin reacting to kind of like the general macro environment? Some people make the argument for that. Some people make the argument that it's because of the Fed's monetary policy that Bitcoin isn't higher right now. I don't know. But what I will say is I'll be happy if we make it back to 100K and then we can kind of reassess, these 500, 200K, 200K, $2 million price predictions. Just because, yeah, man, I mean, look, like, let's be real. I think this year in general, people had higher expectations for Bitcoin. And I think Bitcoin has underperformed a little bit, to say the least. But it's weird because it's not matching the the news that's happening. The news that's happening is incredibly bullish. Like, it's ridiculously bullish. I've never seen, like, if this type of news broke in 2018, Bitcoin would have 100x'd in a month. Like, it would have been so easy for it to do that. And it hasn't, right? Is it just because Bitcoin's market cap is so much bigger? Is it because now there's more, it's institutional buying rather than retail buying? A lot of people are theorizing that. If you look at Google Trends, Bitcoin's interest on Google Trends has still not surpassed the 2017 highs. Even back in 2021, when we had a peak, it didn't surpass the 2017. So who's buying all this Bitcoin? It's institutional buying. It's government buying. It's OTC buying, but it hasn't been happening through retail. So retail hasn't come back yet. That obviously creates an enormous opportunity because I think it's inevitable when the supply shock hits. I just don't know when that's going to happen. I don't think anyone knows when it's going to happen. So I think in general, number tends to go up over time. People are saying, yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, people are saying 200. People forget, but back in 2021, people were saying 200K. Mm-hmm. It's been 4 years. Like, if you take a look at Max Kaiser's Twitter account, he's been calling 220K Bitcoin for 4 effing years. We barely broke 109, right? So again, I'm not saying that this stuff isn't going to happen. I think it's inevitable. 20 infinity divided by 21 million. But I will say is, like, let's just get back to 100K and then let's reassess. Let's have a conversation. But it is very bullish. I mean, look, again, you got to pay attention to the signal, not the noise. The Mahler's announcement from last week was massive. MicroStrategy's performance is massive. The fact that the United States government has the intention to buy Bitcoin, they're transmitting this to the world, is massive. Like, it has all the signs. All the signs are there. Like, it's not rocket science at this point. But I just think that, I think say RL says, you say no retail. What about the ETFs? A lot of that is probably retail. I mean, you could say that, but again, Google Trends doesn't lie. Like, I'll pull it up while I pass it to Kent. But Kent, first of all, welcome to the show. We got the CEO of Saz Mining joining us today. We're going to be doing a demo of Saz Mining on the show today, which should be a whole lot of fun. Can't wait for that. But Kent, what's your take on this, man? Because yes, extremely bullish price predictions. Opti and I have had amazing shows from the perspective when the White House had the crypto White House summit, where they had all the industry heavyweights at the White House. Me and Opti did that show and we were like on cloud 9, but the price wasn't moving. The price was like 95K, right? So what's your take on this, man? Like, incredibly bullish from a news perspective, but price has yet to catch up.
Yeah, man. What comes to mind? So first of all, thanks to be back here, man. I always have a blast with you too. As I think through like what you guys are both talking about, to me, it kind of lands within the bigger picture for me of, it just feels like we're in this global weirding phase at the moment, right? Where like there's this transformation going on with the monetary system, with tariffs, this macro, like everybody's just kind of off kilter a little bit. And it feels like Bitcoin is too, because you're right. I mean, I've been around tracking Bitcoin since late 2015, and this sort of news at other phases of the cycle would have absolutely jacked the price. I mean, this is insane stuff that's coming out. And I also think that there's a mismatch with your retail that still confuses Bitcoin with crypto and has unit bias issues. So I think that there's just this weird, like, combination that's going on right now. But what it feels like is like Bitcoin is like coiling, right? Like when massive positive news doesn't move the price more than like a bit, it tells me actually that the mania phase of the bull market that we're all expecting this year hasn't happened yet. I don't know what that means. I don't know where numbers go. At this point in my Bitcoin journey, I'm sort of a take it level to level and just keep stacking and you're going to be fine sort of mentality about it. But it clearly feels like the entire system is creaking and transforming, and it's just weird out there. I don't know any other better way to say it.
You know, I mean, I think you make a really good point. We had Lop on the show, I think it was like a week ago or so, and he said like verbatim, right? And like he was like even saying, he was like, yeah, I'm in Telegram chats with OGs, and like no one has any idea what's going on. Like American HODL's posting this as well. It is,
yeah,
like,
that's a signal when HODL's getting bearish.
it's not even bearish. No one, I don't think you can make the case that HODL is bearish. I think like everyone's just like, what is going on? Like that's essentially like the TLDR is like, what is going on? No one knows. Right?
Yeah, we're not in Kansas anymore, Toto.
Yeah. I mean, it has gotten weird since they introduced the ETFs. It has gotten strange. Like we peaked before the halving. That was a little weird. The price action has been very strange. I mean, Bitcoin could just be growing up. Like we could be in this like eighth month sideways action, get a nice 50% pump, then 10% correction, then another 2 years, another 80% pump.
We're trading the S&P 500 on steroids now. This is no longer fun. Where's the Bitcoin gains I was promised, Nico?
Yeah, I don't know, man. Or it could just rip one day. It could just rip out of nowhere and just catch everyone by surprise. Anyways, I do want to give a shout out to the 1,300 of you guys that are watching live. Make sure to smash that like button if you guys are enjoying today's show. We did start a little bit late. I apologize. I'm having internet issues since I've gotten back from El Salvador. That was a crazy trip.
We can't blame Puerto Rico anymore, Nico. So you got to get
Puerto Rico internet was great. It just fell out like, you know, every 45 minutes or so it would go down for like 3 or 4 seconds, but at least it was good internet. This is more stable, but look at the connection. Not that great. Anyways, guys, if you guys are enjoying the show, like I said, smash that like button. It's going to be a great show. We have lots to talk about today. Before we jump to it, I do want to give a very special shout out to our sponsors. Of course, you guys know the deal. Simply Bitcoin would not be possible without our sponsors. If you guys want to support Simply Bitcoin, definitely go check them out. I want to give a shout out to our lead sponsor, Bitcoin Well. Bitcoin Well is the best place to build your automatic self-custody Bitcoin stack. You get 3 tosses into the Bitcoin wishing well. All you got to do is go to bitcoinwell.com/simply. Every time you toss a coin into the wishing well, you could win up to 1 million Satoshis. That's right. Just for signing up, doing the KYC, you get an opportunity 3 times to win up to 1 million sats just for signing up. And what we'll do is we'll do it live for you guys right now on air. We'll play the wishing well, get your Lightning wallets ready. First person to scan the QR code wins the sats. Today's prize is 350 sats. Your wish came true. For a higher net worth individual that are looking to buy $50,000 worth of Bitcoin or more, check out Bitcoin Well Infinite. Invest in Bitcoin, preserve your wealth. Go to bitcoinwell.com/OTC to get started. $50,000 or more transactions. It's a 24-hour delivery to self-custody, and you're going to have a dedicated Bitcoin Well representative assigned to your account, of which you can call or text every time you want to buy or sell Bitcoin. To get started, go to bitcoinwell.com/OTC. All right, everybody, let's get to numbers. We have tons to talk about. We'll be right back. I want to tell you guys about our sponsor, Stampseed. Is your Bitcoin in cold storage really secure? Are your seed words really secure? Stampseed's do-it-yourself kit has everything you'll need to hammer your seed words into commercial-grade titanium plates instead of writing them down on paper. Don't do that. Paper sucks. You want to literally stamp your seed into this plate of
titanium. Your words are actually stamped into the metal plate with this hammer. So once your words are in, they aren't going anywhere. No risk of the plate breaking apart and your pieces falling everywhere. Titanium stamp seeds will survive nearly triple the heat produced by a house fire. They are also crush-proof, waterproof, non-corrosive, and most importantly, because this is generational wealth, time-proof. All things that paper is not, allowing you to hodl your Bitcoin for the long haul. I mean, here is the plate that they crushed. They put in water, they put a blowtorch to it, and as you can see, the words have survived. Stamp your seed on StampSeed. And you can use promo code SIMPLY to get 15% off anything on their store. Head over to stampseed.com today.
All right, everybody, we are back. At the time of recording, the Bitcoin price is $93,750. Block height, 894,338. Sats per dollar, 1,067. Market cap, 1.86 trillion. Bitcoin versus gold market cap, 7.94%. Percentage issued, 94.55%. Decline from all-time high, negative 14.1%. Realized monetary inflation, 0.84%. In the grand scheme of things, we are just getting the party started. Anyways, I have a video for you guys, which I find interesting.
Companies adopting.
Sorry about that. Here is Anthony Pompliano talking to Jack Mallers about running a company on a Bitcoin standard. I have the video for you guys. Let's check it out.
People that we've talked to over the last couple of days have talked about the public companies adopting the Bitcoin standard and putting Bitcoin in their treasury. Strike is not only a great Bitcoin brand, it's not only a fast growing kind of user platform. You also have Bitcoin on your balance sheet, and you and I know each other well enough at this point that I'm pretty sure every time you make a decision, it is denominated in Bitcoin, including like, what do I eat for lunch today? What have been the pros and cons, and what have you learned about operating with that Bitcoin standard as a private company?
Yeah, I mean, I got my comms team, which is just a beautiful, awesome, hardworking woman named Lavinia back there. And we debate all the time. Strike's a private company. And so people don't know, but I would assume it's one of the most profitable Bitcoin companies in the world. I mean, we operate well over 85% gross profit margins. We've got some of the highest EBITDA margins in the world, even in the public markets. So we are a business that is like MicroStrategy. We're just in the private sector, but we sweep all of our cash flows into Bitcoin. We hold the minimum amount of cash reasonable as a business. As a person, as an individual, I own $0 US. And so it changes everything in a really fundamental principled way, because as a company, you know, listen, if the cost of capital is the dollar, it's effectively zero. And you've got excess amounts of venture and people willing to just throw cash at you. And it's very hard to make decisions. You know, well, what are we supposed to do with all this money? Let's turn on Instagram marketing ads. Let's launch 100 products. Let's open a nice office in New York City. And you're burning capital because the cost of capital is zero, right? It can't get any worse than holding dollars, because that's just bleeding to death. So you might as well just punt on whatever. This employee has a cool idea. Yeah, go work on it. All of a sudden, if we introduce our treasury asset and the way we measure capital in something that's compound annual growth rate is 60% over the last 10 years. When an employee comes to me and says, I have an idea, I say, how good of an idea? 61% every year? Good? Because if not, get the fuck out of my office. Sorry. And that's built a really good culture. Our growth rate is astounding. Our efficiency. So when I talk about things like EBITDA margins, gross profit margins, we run a tight ship. And, you know, I'm a Midwest, founder that was raised in the Chicago pits by traders, but also our governance and our culture is imposed by Bitcoin. And that's the real cost of capital that the world didn't have before. You were racing against growth. Companies were doing stock buybacks. And now all of a sudden, what Michael's doing at MSTR, what we're doing at Strike is imposing, real physical constraints and costs of capital that, make humans better.
I mean, that's really, really interesting. Lots to break down. And what's really interesting about that too is like that was before 21 was announced, right? So he was working on that in the background. which was really interesting. But I do want to pass it on to just, I mean, like the whole idea again of operating on a Bitcoin standard, I think changes the whole conversation, because if you're thinking about it, it's like, okay, yes, build up your treasury, build up your Bitcoin treasury as a company. That's you definitely want to do that. But you get put in a situation where if you want to spend your Bitcoin treasury, that hurts a lot more than spending your dollar treasury. I feel like spending your dollar treasury is like, it's okay. Spending your Bitcoin treasury, that's going to be a lot harder to build that up apparently not, because Bitcoin's now a stable coin. But back when Bitcoin went up, it gave you a feeling of like, I should probably not spend this because it's going to be very difficult for me to get it back. But clearly that's not the case anymore. And we're stuck at $93,000 for the next 10 years. But, if Bitcoin did what it did a year ago or 2 years ago or 3 years ago, it would be a good decision. Maybe I'm a little bit burnt. I don't know. Kent, what are your thoughts, man? I think Jack Mahler's really hit the nail on the head there. He's giving me the thumbs down for being bearish. Kent.
No, man, I'm not as bearish as you are, that's for sure. But I would say that his point is completely salient about, hey, you need to have a good idea to make it worth my while to spend my treasury. So I think just to back up a sec about SAS mining, right? We pass through the costs of electricity and hardware and provide a mining as a service platform to our clients. And then we take a percentage of the Bitcoin that's mined, just 15% when it's paid out from the pool. So we are accumulating, our revenue is Bitcoin, and we accumulate that in the treasury. And you are 110% accurate that spending that Bitcoin is the hardest damn thing that we do. We do everything in our power, operating ethically and following through with our brand promises to just avoid having to spend that Bitcoin. Because once we do, we know how hard it is to bring it back into the treasury. If we have to, it's there, but it's kind of like you develop in this reserve store of I hate the analogies with energy, but it's almost like this monetary energy that you've got sitting there that you can deploy if you get into a pinch. But otherwise, like, just let it bake, like, let it sit there. So yeah, I feel, I know exactly what he's talking about with when it comes to spending that Bitcoin out of your treasury. And it fundamentally does something different to you when you think in Bitcoin and you step through the looking glass and ultimately operate on a Bitcoin standard first and foremost. And I think as more and more businesses, funds, folks do that, I think it's actually going to transform society along the way.
100%. And I think that's what he was saying too, right? Again, and the example for you guys is like compare and contrast how, like, just for the everyday individual, compare and contrast how easy it is to spend cash versus how easy it is to spend Bitcoin when it used to go up back in the past, before it was a stable coin. It hurt, right? It hurt, right? Like cash was just like, oh, okay, great. Like, who cares? Bitcoin, it's like, ouch, that hurts. It stings every time. And I think that's your like instinct telling you what is real money and what is not real money. I think it's your body like instinctively reacting to it before Bitcoin became a stable coin. Like, it's not like that anymore. But Opti, what's your take on this, bro? Why did you make Bitcoin a stable coin? This is your fault. I want to give a shout out to Opti, by the way, because Opti's been the GOAT, holding it down, hosting the show for the last 4 days while I've been in El Salvador traveling, recording shows. So I do want to give a really, really nice shout out to Opti for doing that.
Well, I'm like that one meme. I'm holding the team on my back though, so you know how it goes. Anyway, Nico, that is Mahler's point. First of all, Nico's bearish because he didn't want to spend his Bitcoin to get good internet here, and so this is where all the cope is coming from. Anyways, that's the point. I think that was the point of what Mahler's was saying is what we're seeing with Bitcoin and with Bitcoiners and Bitcoin companies, as on an individual level and a company level, is that you actually think about spending your money differently. And this is by design. And the restraints that you feel as a Bitcoiner, because you know the opportunity cost of, you know, where the Bitcoin will potentially be in the future, you start to think differently about the cash you have in reserves. And I really like that statement that Mahler said, is like, look, Bitcoin's been going up 60% per year. So do you have an idea that's going to return me 61%? Because if you don't, like, I don't want to hear it. You know, he's like, get out of my office. And I mean, like, we do the same thing here. Everything we do is restrained by Bitcoin and trying to stack as much Bitcoin in our corporate treasury here, our you know, business treasury here. And we, you know, there's a lot of things Nico and I would like to do, but we're always thinking like, man, can we really, you know, afford to spend this Bitcoin for the company today, when we know if we can just survive for another year or 2 or 4, it's going to be way more. And then we can actually spend more money on the company and, you know, give you guys more awesome products and a more awesome show. And that's the whole point of this thing, is like, what we're seeing is companies that are so used to being high on the fiat supply and this free money are now having to basically restrain themselves with this new hard money that is Bitcoin. And it does fundamentally change how you view your business, how you view your expenses. And it's something I've been saying on the show for a long time, usually more in the sense of how you should run your own personal life, that proof of work is not just, you know, a mining protocol, it's a way of life. And further, as we see Wall Street basically, you know, enter the Trojan horse of Bitcoin into the gates, you're going to start to see these companies essentially figure out what proof of work actually means, and they will have to restrain themselves. And I think this is a good thing. And this is how we, you know, get in the gates and dismantle the system that we're seeing. It's obviously going to be a slow trickle idea here, but that's the point. Like, if you have free money flowing, you don't care what you do with it. We've seen this happen in the VC world. We've seen this happen in the VC world with the shitcoin world, where they just throw money at a bunch of ridiculous ideas and a bunch of people get hurt. And this is why Bitcoin only companies do grow slower, is because we all price everything in Bitcoin, and we're taking the long route here. You know, you're taking the path that is less traveled, and it doesn't return, you know, spectacular, 20,000% returns in one day. It's like, this is going to be a long-term, you know, building experience here, where it's going to take, you know, 5, 10, 20 years. It's not sexy. I actually made a tweet the other day, and I'm not going to pull it up because I forget what the tweet was, but the crux of the tweet was, you know, you want to, like, Bitcoin is boring because it's going to take like 10 years for you to do what you want to do. And like the boring way to accumulate wealth is literally just buy Bitcoin and do nothing. And the sexy way is what we see, you know, part of just the capitalist culture. The fiber of our society is like, get rich overnight. It's very interesting how our culture everywhere globally right now always kind of makes heroes out of people that make extreme wealth overnight. But the real wealth builders are the guys that have been doing something for 10, 20 years. Like, look at Walmart. It's not sexy, but they're one of the biggest, you know, companies in the world, and they've been doing this for the last 10, 20 years plus, and they have a very boring business model, but it's extremely profitable. Whereas, you know, everyone would much rather make a movie about like the Wolf of Wall Street than the Walton family. Like, no one wants a Walton family video, but we all love Wolf of Wall Street. And I think that's, you know, a signal of the culture and where we are right now. And that is slowly changing, and Bitcoin's going to restrain that and you know, change the culture slowly.
Bullish on Walmart, not Wall Street. I like that. Great saying by Optimus Fields. I'll take it. No, but that's a very good breakdown. Yes, I think Bitcoin's going to fundamentally change. I mean, Bitcoin 2 years ago was going to fundamentally change the world in terms of how they view it. Now that it's a stable coin, you know, bro, this is the new gold, man. I love it.
Dude, it's S&P 500, guys. Get ready. We're trading the S&P 500 now.
It only took a decade. No, but no, seriously, I think Bitcoin's going to fundamentally change how people view money. I think it comes down to that. Like, if you are to someone in the chat, Walmart is hella sexy, bro. What you mean? Oh, man. But no, I mean, like, if you just break down in essence what Mahler said, what Opti said, and what Kent said, it boils down to this. Compare and contrast how easy it is to spend dollars versus how easy it is to spend your Bitcoin. It is significantly harder psychologically, emotionally, spiritually. I said it. to spend your Bitcoin than it is to spend dollars, right? Listen to your body. It's telling you something. It's sending you a signal, right? Anyways, guys, it's going to be a great show. We have tons to cover. We have a spicy news story for you guys today. I've been screaming this from the rooftops for the last week or so. I've been saying that the Fed is politically compromised. And more news has come out from Senator Lummis's office and Caitlin Long. Caitlin Long is the founder and CEO of Custodia Bank. And remember, Custodia Bank was denied a federal banking charter during the Biden administration. And apparently what has happened is the Fed has walked back some of these regulations, but it seems like either Senator Lummis or Caitlin Long, they're both calling bullshit. They're both saying that's not true, right? And there's evidence that essentially the Fed is actually working against the Trump administration, which again, I've been saying for the last 2-3 weeks or so. Even Trump is beginning to say that as well. He's publicly beefing with Powell on Truth Social. It's absolutely hilarious. And then this leads me to, my point, which is the Fed is not an independent institution if it's acting politically, right? And I think the Fed has to act politically because I think in the future, we really have two choices ahead of us. So I say this all the time. We have a Bitcoin future, or we have the continuation of central banking, which is a central bank digital currency. This is what's happening in China. I don't think there's going to be any in between. When everything is said and done and all the dust settles, you're going to have two choices to go to, society's going to go by. It's either going to go the choice of freedom or the choice of, I would say, slavery, which is the continuation of central banking, which you can make a very solid argument is a form of slavery, right? So anyways, I think this is going to continue. I think the games are not going to end here. And we've been front running a lot of the things that we've said on Simply. We called 1 or 2 years before they actually happened. I think eventually the political movement is not to just end the regulatory attack on Bitcoin. I think that we already won that. We got a pro Bitcoin president in the White House, at least for the next 4 years or so. What is really ahead of us that I think people really have to pay attention to is we have to get a president in the White House that wants to end the Fed. We need an Andrew Jackson of 2026 in the end the Fed type of mentality, end the Fed type of policy. We really need someone in there with that mentality. I'm going to play nice with the Fed. That's not going to work, right? And this is, I think, what people have to understand. They have to internalize, move the effing Overton window. I think fiat and Bitcoin are incompatible. I don't think they get along. I think it's like oil and water. I think trying to mix the two systems, right, is going to just highlight that more and more. Look, people are going to choose better money. If they have a choice between something that the government can censor and debases forever, right, versus something that is supposed to, not anymore, but is supposed to appreciate forever, people are naturally going to pick the better money. That's what's going to happen, right? So I think this idea of trying to normalize the central bank, I think it's a losing battle. It's like playing in their narrative, playing in their territory. I think the institution is corrupt. I think it's inherently going to be corrupt. I think it's inherently going to try to protect itself. I think it's going to fight for its survival, even if it costs the people that it's supposed to serve. I think it's going to inherently do all those things. And I think we're just starting to see the very beginning of it. Anyways, guys, it's going to be a great show. Let's get to the news. We'll be right back.
I want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Casa. Casa makes self-custody easy and secure. As a Bitcoiner, I care about holding my own private keys, but multi-sig can sometimes get tricky. Casa nails it with a multi-key security. So even if one key gets lost or stolen, your Bitcoin stays safe. And you don't give up custody, meaning no one could access your Bitcoin but you. No seed phrase anxiety, no single point of failure. I've been telling my friends and family about Casa for years. Their UX and UI on their app is by far the best in the industry. Inheritance planning is built in, and they even offer Casa for Business if you're thinking about a Bitcoin treasury. Hit up casa.io today and use promo code SIMPLY to get 10% off Casa Standard or Casa Premium. Head over to casa.io.
I want to give a shout out to our partner, CoinKite. If you take your Bitcoin security seriously, you'll need the best Bitcoin hardware wallet on the market to take self-custody. That's where Cold Card comes in. The Cold Card Q is the most advanced Bitcoin signing device ever made. It's got a full keyboard, larger screen, and NFC support, making air-gap signing easier than ever. It's built for power users who want the ultimate security without sacrificing usability. And if you're looking for a battle-tested, uncompromising cold storage, the Cold Card MK4 is your go-to with PSBT signing, an industrial-grade secure element, and USB-C. It's the perfect blend of security and convenience. Both devices are, of course, 100% Bitcoin only, open source, and built by Bitcoiners for Bitcoiners. Secure your Bitcoin the right way with the Cold Card Q and the MK4. Head over to coldcard.com today and use promo code SIMPLY to get 5% off anything on the store.
All right, everybody, we got Opti, and Opti's holding the most precious, the best Bitcoin hardware wallet on the market right now, the Cold Card Q in his hands. Get it? Use promo code SIMPLY. It's on the screen right now. Use promo code SIMPLY when you go to coldcard.com. Get yourself an MK4 or a Cold Card Q, and you get 5% off anything on the store. This is by far the best Bitcoin hardware wallet. You want to get yours while supplies last. That's right. I said it. Promo code SIMPLY, 5% off anything Cold Card store. All right, everybody. So what are we talking about? Let's go down this rabbit hole. I mean, I'm calling it now. It sounds crazy, but there's been a lot of shit that me and Opti have said over the years that sounded crazy. And then 6 months to 9 months later, we just get completely, absolutely vindicated. So I'm totally going to start trying to, it's obvious. It's not rocket science, right? Here's Lynn Alden. She's noticing it too. The like famous like Matrix meme, right? Lynn is memeing all over the place, and Jerome Powell and Trump are literally throwing shit at each other. And then Lynn says the president is fighting the Fed chair, right? And then if you pull up some of this, and I started to notice this too, Zero Head started connecting the dots, right? I said the Fed is politically compromised. It's time to end it. President Trump says preemptive cuts in interest rates are being called for by many, with energy costs way down, food prices substantially lower, and most other things trending down. There's virtually no inflation. With these costs trending so nicely downward, just what I predicted they would, there can almost be no inflation, but there can be a slowing of the economy unless Mr. Too Late, a major loser, lowers interest rates. Now, Europe has already lowered them 7 times. Powell has always been too late, except when it came to the election period when he lowered in order to help sleepy Joe Biden and later Kamala get elected. How did that work out, right? And now here's a chart of what Trump was referring to in terms of the Fed cutting rates. And then take a look at the tighter kind of monetary. Like what I will say is, like, just think about it from like an incentives perspective. Like, put all the like conspiracy theory and politics and all of that bullshit aside. Just put it aside for a second. If you take Trump was anti-CBDC, he made it part of his campaign. His executive order, as it relates to Bitcoin, specifically forbade the government from launching a central bank digital currency. A central bank digital currency is the continuation of the Federal Reserve. It's the continuation of the central bank system. Bitcoin is an alternative path. So if you have the candidate that is pro CBDC and anti Bitcoin, and you have the candidate that is anti CBDC, pro Bitcoin, do you think the Fed is just going to sit back? They have 20,000 employees. Do you think they're just going to sit back and twiddle their thumbs and say, no, their job is on the line. It has nothing to do with politics. It has to do with that is their job. That's how they get employed. Do you think they're just going to sit back and be apolitical? Right? What's the saying that we always, I don't think we always say this, but it's like follow the money, right? It's a very famous saying. And I think it just comes down to that. So anyways, there's more developing news when it comes to this. There's a reason why I wanted to cover it today. So check out this Protos article. Jerome Powell defies Trump, keeps crypto restrictions at Fed. Crypto politicians are discussing a number of changes in Federal Reserve policies that seem to indicate Jerome Powell's willingness to defy Donald Trump. Despite the Fed's claim to have withdrawn crypto guidance in compliance with one of Trump's executive orders, Senator Cynthia Lummis and Wyoming politician Caitlin Long calls its actions mere lip service. Here are the actual posts themselves. Here's Senator Lummis. She says, the Fed withdrawing crypto guidance is just noise, not real progress. We are not fooled. The Fed assassinated companies within the industry and hurt American interests by stifling innovation and shuttering businesses. This fight is far from over. Caitlin Long drops a thread. We're going to go over it. But anyways, this is weird. This is interesting. Why is this interesting? Why is this weird? Because if you take a look at the last election, President Trump, whether you like him, dislike him, whatever, we live in a democratic society, supposedly, right? So you, as an individual, every 2 years, you have the ability to vote for representation in Washington, D.C. That's how the system is supposed to work, right? Who the F elects the Fed chair? And clearly there is a mandate, right? There's a mandate by the American people. They put a president in office. They put a Republican. Republicans take the House. Republicans take the Senate. And essentially the Federal Reserve is saying, F you, right? Like, that ain't very democratic. That doesn't sound very democratic. That sounds like the Fed is kind of acting on its own behalf for its own interest. And they're the ones that control the money, right? We always say Bitcoin exposes incentives. I don't think the book was called The Creature from Jekyll Island for no reason. I think Bitcoin is just exposing the creature for everyone to see. That's my opinion. We always say this, Bitcoin exposes incentives. I think Bitcoin is exposing the Federal Reserve. I think Bitcoin is going to expose all central banks. The same thing is happening in Europe. The difference is that Europe, they don't give an F. They're like, you know what? You don't like us? Don't care. Central bank digital currency, take it. Here, it's like a little bit of cloak and dagger type of situation. Reasserting Powell's independence from the executive branch this month, Trump relented on speculation that he could fire Powell from his position of chairman at the world's most powerful central bank. Emboldened, Powell has limited his compliance with Trump's January 23rd executive order, quote, protecting and promoting fair and open access to banking services. Jerome Powell reduced crypto banking restrictions somewhat. According to the Federal Reserve Board, its banking supervisors have narrowly withdrawn guidance that restricted certain crypto activities at banks. In particular, the Fed rescinded an expectation that banks provided advance notice of crypto asset activities, removed a cumbersome non-objection process for certain stablecoin activities, and lightened guidance about banks' crypto limitations and crypto asset exposures. It has stamped withdrawn guidance in red lettering. However, pro-crypto commentators said those actions fell short. Senator Lummis said, we are not fooled. According to her, the Fed is still violating the law on master account applications and has not withdrawn an unsafe and unsound policy statement on crypto, and of course is still perpetuating Operation Choke Point 2.0. That part, again, we are supposed to live in a quote unquote democratic society. That's the whole thing. That's the reason we go along with this. If there was a mandate by the American people to put essentially representatives in office, whether it's the Senate, the House, or the executive branch, that would end Operation Choke Point 2.0, the Fed is basically saying, we don't care. And you know what I think they're trying to do? I think they're trying to delay until the midterms, which is less than 2 years from now. And then you're right back where you started. That's what I think is happening. I think it's clear as day. Anyhow, goes on to say, Wyoming politicians and central bank founder Caitlin Long flagged supposedly restricted guidance that the Fed board approved on January 27, 2023. To her dismay, she found that the guidance remained in place. That guidance requires banks to make their crypto custodial services comply with, quote, consumer anti-money laundering and anti-terrorist financing laws. And it also requires banks to maintain risk management and internal controls for their activities. I'm persuaded by this. Unless a governor is fired for cause, the Fed will remain 4 to 3 decontrolled until January 2026. In short, the Federal Reserve previous guidance for digital asset outlined in supervisory letters issued in 2022 and 2023, it will now monitor banks' digital asset related activities through a, quote, normal supervisory process rather than requiring advance notifications. The Fed also joined the FDIC and the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency in withdrawing joint guidance on banks' digital asset related activities and exposure issued in 2023. It will coordinate with these two regulatory bodies to determine whether new guidance is warranted. According to pro-crypto politicians, those actions fall short of Trump's intention in his executive order and other laws. Of course, Fed Chair Powell is ultimately responsible for ensuring the Fed's compliance with all the laws, but his actions continue his tradition of conservative and deliberate tweaks to policy rather than the drastic overhaul that crypto would prefer. Look, in my humble opinion, just like what Jack Mahler said, I don't think this is complicated. I think you just have to look at incentives. And I think the incentives are clear. I think that if you are at the Fed and you're looking at your long-term career trajectory, you're looking 10 years out, you want a central bank digital currency. That is a continuation of your job. I think you are disincentivized to essentially let Bitcoin do its thing. I think it's as simple as that. I don't think it has anything to do with politics. I think it has to do with incentives. And then I've said this many times, and before I end my rant, pass it on to Kent. The people that are supposedly meant to, quote unquote, regulate the industry also have a lot to lose if the industry succeeds, if the industry does what it wants to do, what Bitcoin's goal is, right? So, I mean, can we talk about that? Can we have that conversation? Like, can we move the Overton window? Because it's obvious to me. And I remember when Opti and I used to notice things, we used to shut the fuck up because we thought we were absolutely crazy and bonkers. And we're like, no, dude, there's no way. The news must have seen that. There's no way that just these two bozos on YouTube that have cameras and fancy microphones. There's absolutely no way that we're noticing things before the so-called professionals. I'm calling it right now. It's clear as day. I think the Fed is acting politically, and I think they're just doing it to preserve their job. I think it really comes down to that. And I think Trump is actively calling Powell a loser on Truth Social is just putting fuel on the fire. That's my 2 cents. That's what I'm observing. And I think this story is far from over. And I think we need many, many more elections before this comes to an end. I think just thinking that Trump was going to get in and all of a sudden they were just going to hand us over the keys, in hindsight, is incredibly naive and stupid. I think this is going to take a little bit. I think it's going to take a while, but I think we're going to win because Bitcoin has better incentives and all they have is coercion. Anyways, I'm going to leave it at that. Kent, what are your thoughts, man? Are we seeing things that are not there? I've had this hunch. I was calling it before Trump said that the Fed and Powell were acting politically. I was screaming this on X. And then he called it. Then Zero Hedge was putting the dots. And now you have a US senator basically saying the same things. Like, you guys aren't walking back anything, right? So what are your thoughts on this, man? And why is the Fed acting politically? Aren't they supposed to be a quote unquote independent agency? Or whatever.
Well,
are they an agency? I don't even know.
Well, I know you're worked up about it, man. I used to be worked up about it, and then I kind of fell into the philosophy of Buckminster Fuller, which is if you want to change the existing system, just build a better system, and people will adopt it. And I think that's what we're doing here at Bitcoin. So I don't spend time fighting the Fed so much, but I fully agree with your assessment of the situation because it was created under politics, right? What would make us think today? You read The Creature of Jekyll from Jekyll Island, right? It was created in the shadows out on Jekyll Island on Georgia's coastline, right? And it was created as a political entity, as a way to gain power. And I think, honestly, Bitcoiners are the light that is causing disinfectant to occur to them and expose them for what they are. I mean, I think that's part of our purpose. I actually think, and this is going to sound pretty bold, but I actually think that we've needed the Federal Reserve to actually appreciate what hard sound money is. And it took the Federal Reserve existing as just kind of this evil, malignant sort of like nasty force, like stealing from us through inflation, our time, our energy, for us to actually, as Bitcoiners, appreciate Bitcoin when it showed up on the scene, adopt it, and ultimately like expunge and get rid of the Fed. I think it's sort of inevitable based on incentives. For the same reason the incentives that you lay out, Nico, are there for them to fight against this transformation because their paychecks are on the line. I think that we've got the same exact set of incentives in Bitcoin going the opposite direction that are going to actually wind up pushing them out. I mean, again, the best disinfectant for darkness is light. You bring the light into the attic, and the cockroaches all go running for the corners, right? And I think that's what we're doing as Bitcoiners.
Yeah, 100%. I actually, and it just reminded me, Kent, while you were talking. Sorry guys, the video might not be 100% resolution, but you guys could hear the sound. James O'Keefe actually caught someone that worked at the Fed. I think Opti, you played this last week, right? Like hear it from his mouth, right?
Trump is a crazy person. It's very clear. I mean, he's a dumb guy.
Does he hate Trump? And like, is the feeling neutral?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
He wants to be remembered in history as somebody who held the line against like Trump and like somebody who like helped the economy.
Yeah.
And Trump was president. He wanted to stimulate the economy.
Right.
But he wouldn't do it. And he started raising interest rates, doing the opposite that Trump wanted.
Like, that's effing crazy. That's nuts. That's crazy. But I mean, Kent, you have such an optimistic view. You have such an optimistic view. Let's just build something outside of the system, a better system, and kumbaya. Nothing.
Bro, I live in the Amazon. Like I'm out there already, right? I'm doing it. My life is that, right? Like so totally unintentional. Like I left the U.S. after having a corporate job in 2014. Took a 2-year sabbatical, and I fell in love with a Portuguese woman and wound up in Portugal starting in 2016. And life brought us to the Peruvian Amazon for my wife's work a couple years ago, and unintentionally, I'm very much American. I care about American values and building SaaS mining, and we're operating in South America, North America, and Scandinavia at this point. But I'm living this where I just feel like at the end of the day, Bitcoin is making us more sovereign. And as more and more of us go that direction, we're just going to quit fighting the existing system and just keep building the alternative, because people are going to come into it. It's inevitable. They're just going to opt out.
You've opted out. You've decided, like, F this. Opti, I think we might have to do that, bro. I mean, we were talking about it 6 months ago. We're like, dude, we might have to move. I've been talking to you about it, Opti, and you're like, nah. And then we kind of celebrated when Trump won. And then 3 months later, we're like, yo, wait, dude, I thought this is a lot harder than I thought.
Yeah, I like warm showers and creature comforts, Nico. So I don't know. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. But like we were saying, and I think all us Bitcoiners know the meme, and Kent brought up the creature from Jekyll Island. And this is like fundamental, Bitcoin 101 type stuff is that the Federal Reserve isn't federal and has no reserves. It's a banking cartel. Like, you can unpack that as much as you want, but if you just remember that meme, you're pretty much good to go. Yes, it's kind of a generalization, but that's what's going on here. Now, I am reminded of this very, very famous quote attributed to a member of one of the most infamous banking families ever is, give me control of the money and I care not who makes the laws. And we're living this. And that was said over 100 years ago, or at least attributed to someone that supposedly said it 100 years ago. But the point remains the same. Sometimes, truth is sent through society in mimetic form. And whether someone said this or didn't, the point remains the same. If you can control the money, it doesn't matter who actually controls or makes the laws, because you can basically just buy them out. And I think what Kent said is really the signal here, is that more people are waking up to this and more people are asking this question. It's like, wait, what's going on with the Federal Reserve? I thought it was, part of the government. I thought it was federal. It has it in the name, but it's really not. And I think we are in this moment where people are waking up to how things are actually working and who are the real puppet masters and what actually runs the world. And people are asking these questions. And I think as more people ask this question, we get to a point where people just completely opt out of the system. I'm just being reminded of that one meme where it's like a politician and he's standing over the cliff and there's the people walking off the board. You guys know which meme I'm talking about. This is where we are. We just haven't woken enough people up. Like, Bitcoiners, I think, forget that we are still a very small minority of the population, and we have to start waking people up. We're literally playing the telephone game right now, and not enough people understand what the game is. And it's on us to continue to spread that information and hopefully wake more people up. And of course, people will have to have multiple touch points on this, because it didn't happen to you overnight. You kind of had to go through one rabbit hole, and then you kind of come back around and you're like, oh wait, now that point makes more sense. And as you go deeper, you start to connect all these dots and you realize, oh wait, the Federal Reserve isn't federal, has no reserves, it's a banking cartel. Maybe, they're the ones that are in control of the politicians because they can just print money out of thin air. It's like, what's going on? Actually, there was an interesting clip I saw this morning over the weekend. It was Terrence Howard on Bill Maher, and they were having this conversation. And I think that is a sign of the times that, some more normie friendly, podcast and media scene, content creation scenes are having the conversations that Bitcoiners are having. And I think this is just where we're headed. More people are starting to wake up. Maybe you're a little more esoteric and you're like, the where we are in the stars or whatever, the human consciousness is waking up. Or I think people are just seeing the cracks in the dam and the information is getting out there. Now that we're all basically chronically online, people are able to get this information quicker and make up their minds for themselves. So I have hope that people can still turn on their brain and they'll get that information. It's just, not going to happen overnight, but we're seeing that it's happening, and that's obviously super bullish.
Yeah, 100%. A creature from Jekyll Island. That's really what it is. I mean, I think I think it's just going to be exposed the more and more as time goes by, and then it's going to be an undeniable fact that they're not acting as an institution that has the best interest of the American people. I think they're going to be acting as an institution that has the best interest of the institution. I think Bitcoin has a way of exposing incentives as time goes by. But as Kent pointed out, right, you can opt out. You could choose just to not participate. This is the beauty of Bitcoin, right? It doesn't matter where you are. You could choose to opt out and have an oasis wherever you are in the world, and not have to deal with the whole political mumbo jumbo. But it's going to happen. And I think it's going to be a crazy process kind of seeing this unwind and just kind of people waking up to this reality. But I mean, it's been 100 years coming. And then maybe it's going to take a lot longer than we anticipate. Appreciate the super chat. Someone sent us $10. Thank you for the cheese. Does that mean we have to smile?
I don't know. I think it's a meta meme about sending us cheese.
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
That's true. All right, everybody. Let's go to the culture. Let's talk about SaaS mining. We'll be right back.
I want to give a shout out to our partner, HIVE Digital Technology. Why HIVE in 2025? Unstoppable growth. As the first ever public miner HIVE's position to quadruple their global footprint, making them one of the world's fastest growing miners in 2025. And with elite operations that consistently top the industry in Bitcoin mined per exahash, HIVE's now headquartered in the USA. They're lean and mean, they're green and clean, and they're rewriting the playbook on sustainable Bitcoin mining. You can catch the latest buzz at HIVE Digital Tech or at hivedigitaltech.com. Need liquidity without having to sell your Bitcoin? For more than 6 years now, Ledin has been the trusted choice for Bitcoin-backed lending with transparency, security, and trust at their core. I absolutely love these guys, and I personally not only have an account with them, but also a loan. And some of the key features that I love about Ledin is the fact that there are no monthly payments. You pay at the end of the term. You also have the ability to roll over the loan as well, and you can pay it back whenever you want. Essentially what they do is that they help their clients unlock the liquidity of their BTC, allowing you to hodl while still accessing the wealth of your Bitcoin. They've been battle tested with their focus on transparency, security, and trust, allowing them to build a proven track record of client success and security, helping tens of thousands of clients harness the value of their digital assets with confidence and peace of mind. Learn more about what your BTC can do for you today. Simply Bitcoin viewers get 0.25% off their first loan by using the link in the video/podcast description. What are you waiting for? Head over to ledin.io today.
All right, everybody, we are back. We're going to talk about all things Kent mining, all things SAS mining, Kent mining, SAS mining. And Kent, you have a demo for us. Is that right?
Yeah, well, I heard a rumor that you were thinking about buying a mining rig. Is that?
I think we're going to do. Can we do that live, Kent? Is that how we're going to do it?
Well, that would be sure fun, wouldn't it?
All right, let's try to do this live, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go.
Nico's about to dox his credit card number, so get ready.
No, I think it has to be in Bitcoin.
No, we'll give you the option. We use Zapprice, so you choose your rail, but we do give. Well, we'll see. I won't.
Okay.
Steal the punchline.
Sorry, hot take. Nico's gonna dox his Bitcoin holdings, so get ready.
Nah.
Screen capture on, sir.
Yeah, we're gonna pull this up, or how are we gonna do this, Ken?
I thought you were gonna run the controls, Nico. No, or
okay. Wait. Hold on. Wait. Could you? Okay, hold on. So
you should just go to sasmining.com. You want me to do the screen?
I have it here, the website, but Nico has the information.
But I don't have the demo.
No. I'll show. So here's how it works, just for the audience, right? Like when you buy a mining rig, it's not live and hashing like the second that you purchase it, right? It takes us a little bit of time. Like right now, it's under 30 days. So I've got a demo to show what live data looks like on the back end, but you can show the front end on buying, and then I'll show the back end of what it looks like when you're
okay.
Rolling.
I am resetting my password as we speak.
Oh, forgot to log in. Classic.
Dude, what a rookie. He's got bad internet.
Dude, bro, listen, man.
Let's pile on, updates.
These are my favorite days when I control Nico live. And
get a real wind up here.
All right.
After holding the team on my back, I get to troll live. Love it.
Boom. Okay. All right.
So buy a mining rig there.
Let's buy a mining rig. Here we go. Here's the process. Promo code Simply, right?
Yeah, it might have popped up in another tab when you did that.
Oh, I got the affiliate. Okay, so let's put one of these in the cart.
Well, I think it went to another tab.
Yeah, it's on another tab because we're looking at your dashboard here. There you go.
There we go.
All right. Acknowledge. Proceed to purchase rig.
Which one are you getting? Which one are you purchasing?
The S19 XP Hydro.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
All right. Now maybe pull it off screen real quick.
Yeah. This is doxing information.
We'll pull that off screen a little bit until you're ready. So now you fill in your information, guys.
Well, we really didn't think this through.
We should have had a good practice run, shouldn't we, Nico? Next time.
I thought about it in my head, and It seemed like a good idea.
Well, if you want, we could just shift it. I could show you what it looks like when you're live.
Okay, so I have it. Place the thing. Now it's select payment method, and
There
let's
you
shift
go.
it, and then we'll continue. I'll continue this off.
Yeah, you get to see the Zaprite work we've done here.
Am I pulling this up? What's the deal here, Nico?
Yeah, Ken's gonna pull up his screen.
Okay.
Yeah, do you want me to? Okay, I'll show what we got cooking then on the back end here. Give me a sec. All right, so here's a good demo account. This is actually my mining rig. I'm using my personal account as a demo until we've built out a demo, an official demo account that we can release to the public. But quick option down here, you can just go between Bitcoin and Sats as your defaults. That's just often requested, but you can see I've got one mining rig, 86 terahash, this unit. This is how much Bitcoin I've received since it went live 2 years ago, actually a little more in January 2023. And then this is how much it's sitting at the mining pool. It's on our data center in Wisconsin, my serial number, and what the hash rate has been the last 24 hours and how much Bitcoin it's mined. And I can go into my earnings. A couple options here on the earnings tab. I can see when my next payout's going to occur from the mining pool. I can track all the transactions on the blockchain, see what the value of those are, and download them if I want to play some fun games there. Billings section. This is where you add your credit card if you want to pay by fiat. A lot of our clients like to, or if you want to pay with Bitcoin, Lightning, ACH, Wire, Tether. We offer those too. Those have all been requested. And then we've got your invoices. We only do precision billing, and it's cost pass-through. So this is the cost of running my mining rig. This is not actually there's no markup. So one of the ways it really sets us apart is the fact that we pass through the cost of the hardware and the electricity. And then on the back end, we take a 15% cut, which is already reflected in the numbers that you see here. And the last thing we've done is build out a referral program for our clients. We've had clients pretty happy with the outcome and have been sharing us out there across socials. In fact, we've got a Trustpilot score above 4.6 at this point, which we're really proud of. But this allows you to get $50 worth of sats for each friend who purchases a rig, give them a $50 discount. And I'm going to do a nice little treat here for whoever's quickest with their Lightning wallet, because that actually, we did some testing, made sure everything worked on the referral program before. But yeah, you can redeem $50 worth of Bitcoin there if you're
Damn.
Camera.
Generational wealth. Wait, hold up, guys.
53,000 sats right there. Bam.
Can we pull this off screen so I can get first access to this?
All right. So a couple of questions. So
yeah.
How much does the service cost? So let's say you buy a miner, right? Like I totally failed to do, but it's very easy. You make an account. You just press buy miners. You add the miner that you want. You click to redirect to payment, and then you choose, I think the options are Lightning, Bitcoin. You actually get a discount if you pay with Lightning or Bitcoin. Tether, bank, wire, ACH card. So you have plenty of options to, buy a miner with. And then after you buy the miner, it shows up on your dashboard. How long from buying the miner to having the miner, like how long you purchase the miner and how long until it's operational?
Yeah, right now under 30 days to get operational, and there's possibility as soon as next week. But yeah, we're setting the expectations out there so we can over deliver, under promise.
Gotcha. Okay, and then and this is not, you're not renting a miner, you're actually buying a miner. Is that correct?
Yeah, you saw the serial number, the mining rig there on the dashboard, and we built our solution around serial numbers all the way through. That way, people have actual ownership of their mining rig down to a single unit.
Awesome. Okay, so I have some questions. And then, are these sats KYC free?
Well, we call them wild sats. We don't like to attract any attention, but yeah, they're wild. They're unsurveilled. Awesome. So what the only thing we do require is some way to communicate with you. So we actually tried to just communicate by email with clients to be very privacy first, but we found we couldn't get a hold of our customers. So now we're required phone number.
And then what information is required for you to sign up?
Email address, phone number, name. That's about it.
Amazing. And then
we store no credit card information either. That's all a third party payment system. So yeah, we are very privacy oriented.
And then the other question is, I mean, I think this is we went through this, the sign up process. What is it like? I mean, we went through it. Should I share my screen again?
Don't dox yourself.
Yeah, I'll pull it off. Yeah. It's I mean, typical e-commerce, right? It's what you would expect. There's a curated list of just a few mining rigs.
Here you go. And then you go to earnings and then buy miners and then boom, click to redirect payment. Oh no, it opened another window. But yeah, this is the dashboard. It's easy to use, easy to see. And yeah, that's SaaS mining in a nutshell. I wish my mind wasn't on the internet failing and juggling 50 gigs when Ken came on the show. But it's so easy that it's not hard to make difficult at all when you're showing it. When we're doing it, we did a live demo on air and it worked, other than having to switch from my screen to Kent's screen. But yeah, that's SaaS mining. It makes Bitcoin mining incredibly easy.
Yeah, built it so I could get my grandma to start mining, right? Like one thing we didn't really point out, because I wanted to keep my own privacy, was that we do require a Bitcoin address. So on the back end, we need a way to send out your Bitcoin. So by default, we are non-custodial and we never touch your Bitcoin. It's always yours through and through, but we do need a place to direct the mining pool to send your Bitcoin to. And so there's no custody problem that could possibly happen with us.
We got a question from Mr. White. Mr. White says, question for the mining guru. At what discount off of retail do you get mined Bitcoin? I don't know what that means.
I think you're showing it right here, my friend. So this is so I think there's something really fundamental that took me a long time to see it. So it's so stupid simple. It's shocking. But Bitcoin mining is the only way that you can put fiat into an investment and put Bitcoin out. Like, that's it. There's no other investment on the planet that allows you to do that in a native way, right? And so as a result, if you are asking about ROI, when you come in as a Bitcoiner to your mining opportunity, you by definition are looking to stack fiat. The only way to actually look at this in a viable fashion as a Bitcoiner is, hey, are the sats I'm getting cheaper than if I go to an exchange and buy them? And to date, that's, I don't think, well understood, right? When you look at mining, are you mining to stack sats or stack fiat? All of us here are looking to stack Bitcoin. So we get it for a cheaper price, and we built a nice calculator. It's under the resources tab if you're looking for it, and you can choose which rigs we're offering down there in the drop down lower left. But you can see what your cost is. Daily cost to run that particular unit in Norway, $8. Generate 15,000 sats, or $7 with this one. Nico changed it. So your daily cost to mine a Bitcoin is $48,000. And it's that arbitrage that is why people are constantly seeking mining opportunities.
Gotcha. No, that makes perfect sense. And I mean, that's the whole point of mining, right? Would it make sense if you weren't getting cheaper Bitcoin? What would be the point of taking that risk, right? And then what's really interesting too is when Bitcoin stops performing like a stable coin, this just gets even better, right? Because that number essentially stays somewhat similar, or it increases, but ever so slow. I mean, the hash rate goes higher, the more incentive, but for those 6 months that the price pumps, you feel extremely smart for making that decision of buying the machine when you did, right?
That's right. And I think what's important there is you're fixing your cost of electricity. So your input cost as you're averaging into your Bitcoin position is fixed after you've made the investment. Now you're right, the bottom half of that little equation, the sats that you're generating, yeah, that's likely going to go down a little bit because the network is getting more difficult. And so over time, your cost will rise. But fixing your cost and just having your sats stream to your wallet, it's literally the best way to build a Bitcoin position because you take all the stress off. There's a lot of people out there that I've discovered are freaked out by, hey, I want to go send $5,000 to an exchange out in Nairobi in this place, and it's going to transfer that into Bitcoin. What? Are you crazy? I'm not going to go do that. But the idea of like buying a piece of hardware, providing a Bitcoin address and a credit card for paying for your electricity, that's a much easier thing because now it's just a small amount that's coming out of your off your credit card each month, and you get Bitcoin in your wallet. So it's a set it and forget it instead of worrying, oh my gosh, I just bought Bitcoin and now it's down 20%. Now I'm going to sell and now I'm upside down and now I feel stupid. Like you just avoid all that with this.
Yeah, you set it, you forget it. And again, the UI is incredibly easy to use. It's very straightforward. And the plug and play time between buying the miner and the miner going online is less than 30 days. And you're saying that some it'd be even less than a week. So that's incredibly awesome.
We're actually working in the background right now that sometime this month we should be able to actually sell under 24 hours. That's one of our internal initiatives right now.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, guys, go to sazmining.com today. It's again super, super easy way to mine Bitcoin. If you use promo code simplybitcoin, I just did it live and embarrassed myself in front of all you guys. So you guys could use the promo code simplybitcoin, get a discount. Sazmining.com, get yourself a miner, start mining Bitcoin. It's a great time when Bitcoin is going sideways or going down. Believe it or not, because it sounds a little bit counterintuitive, that's actually the best time to start mining, because when Bitcoin starts going up, it actually gets significantly more expensive to start mining. And that's like buying the top. Definitely don't want to do that. You want to start mining when no one else is mining, right? I had a friend, and the way he described it to me, he's like, Nico, it's like a leverage long. It's totally not like a leverage long. You're not going to get liquidated in that sense. But from the number go up perspective, it's kind of similar. Is that a wrong way of looking at it, Kent?
Oh, I don't know if I'd go there, but I think the way I'd look at it is more. Well, this piece of information took me a while to uncover, which is that the manufacturers price their hardware based on Bitcoin's price action. So they will increase the price as the price of Bitcoin rips, and there's more value that can be extracted from mining. So yeah, when the price is flat or sideways down, that's definitely the right time to purchase. You just get more computational power for your buck.
Well, I mean, it makes sense, right? It's market dynamics, right? Yeah. Like it's, the market sniffs out everything. And, obviously the prices of machines are going to go up. I remember in the 2016, 2017 era, like in the beginning of the year, like a S19, like an S9 was like $1,200. And at the end of the year, hardware usually depreciates over time. At the end of the year, that S9 was $2,500, even though it mined you less Bitcoin. But of course, it's because the price of Bitcoin went up. So yeah, the best time to start mining, in my opinion, is when the price is going sideways or when the price is going down. Someone in the chat says, are you looking into using renewable energy like hydro or geothermal to reduce energy costs?
Oh my gosh, what a layup. I can't believe I forgot that one. No, so everything is 100% carbon-free power at this point, but our mandate is to be 20% better than the network. So in essence, everything that we offer at this moment is hydro-powered. And it's the reason why we have such low electricity rates. So the average cost of power in the US is 16, 17 cents. And we're offering power and this is cost pass-through again at 5.9, 6.4, and 4.6 respectively in the different data centers that we have right now.
That's incredibly awesome. Very, very cool stuff. Go check out Saz Mining today. Go to sazmining.com. Check out Kent and the team. They make it incredibly easy to mine Bitcoin. So I do, before we wrap up today's show, and I go fix the internet and get back in the mojo of it, because Opti has it. I forget what happens, man. You start traveling and then, anyways, I do want to give a shout out to our sponsor, of course, the largest Bitcoin conference in the world, Bitcoin 2025. Embrace the game theory. Get your tickets now. 30,000 Bitcoiners are expected to attend, 400 plus speakers, $14 trillion assets managed at Bitcoin 2025, 5,000 attending companies. You want to get your tickets before the prices increase. Confirmed speakers include Ross Ulbricht, Michael Saylor, Senator Lummis, David Sachs, Bo Hines, Adam Back, Chun Wang, Lynn Alden, Jack Mahlers, Cameron and Tyler Winklevi, Saifedean, and it just keeps going. You definitely don't want to miss the biggest Bitcoin conference on planet Earth, Bitcoin 2025. Scan the QR code or check the link in the video description. All right, everybody, that's it for today's show. I want to give a shout out to our guest, Kent from Saz Mining, and of course, my incredible co-host who's always optimistic, Optimus Fields. We'll see you guys tomorrow.
Today's episode was brought to you by BitcoinWell.com, a Bitcoin-only platform on a mission to enable financial independence.